What's up guys, Gongrongzong here, hope you're doing great. So the Zandalari and Kul Tirans are on their way, coming in with patch 8.1.5 on the 12th of March. With that lies the burning question on everyone's mind. Is it worth race changing to one of these long-awaited allied races? And on which one of your characters would it be most worth it to? Well, hopefully this video will be able to help you out on that front. In this video, we'll be covering the Kul Tirans, our big boys. I've made another video specifically for the Zandalari, so if you're interested in that, make sure to head over there for some voodoo, man. We'll be going over the two key considerations, their racials, and of course, what new and interesting transmog looks we can achieve with their models. I would just like to state here that in this video, I decided to cover the male options first. The reason for this is that I think most people will be race changing to the male version of the Kul Tiran. But if you'd like me to explore the female options too, similar to the Zandalari video, just let me know in the comments below. So let's get right into it. This time around, let's dive straight into the transmog options first. There were a couple of several key considerations to take note of when making transmog sets for the male Kul Tiran. The first would be, how does one fit in that big belly? On certain sets, the big belly enhances the look of the set. In others, it just seemed like a beer belly that was flopping out. Secondly, belts become absolutely gigantic on male Kul Tirans. Like, ginormously big, which leads to a few interesting transmog options, and some really comical ones. You'll see what I mean as we go through the classes, so let's get down to it. Let's start with the warrior. Because of the belly, lots of sets made him look as though he was an old, out-of-shape warrior trying to fit into his armor of yesteryears. This set from Dragon's Soul, for example, makes him kinda look like he's wearing a diaper. However, there were some armor sets that transformed him into the look of a badass brawler instead. One of these would be the Viking-themed ICECROWN Citadel set. This guy looks like he chugs beers and dragons for breakfast, and could hold down the fort all by himself if he wanted to. In line with this was the other Viking themed set from ULDUAR. Both of these sets just put forth such an intimidating presence, especially with the horned helmets. It would be easy to believe that these were the mortal elite guards of the Titans themselves. Another formidable set would be none other than the mythic set from Antaurus. Still difficult to obtain, but if you can, my oh my, is this the thickest of the thick sets? An absolute unit, the king of all chungus. If you ever wanted to make a hulking beast of metal, a set that pays homage to the Hulkbuster set of Tony Stark, this is the set for you. Last but not least, there is the WARFRONT set from ARATHI. The belt on this is absolutely huge, and in this case adds to the set rather than detracts from it. This guy looks like he's the captain of the guard, or an elite bodyguard of the king. Only the insane would want to mess with this guy, who literally looks like he could pick you up by one hand and throw you across the room. If Stormwind were filled with these guys as footmen, the orcs in the horde had better think twice about using brawn to solve their conflicts. Next, let's look at our Kul Tiran Druid, the one you guys have been waiting for a long time. Their druid forms look downright awesome. I just love the death-themed cat and bear forms. For the Moonkin form, I'll leave my comments to myself. Anyway, one of the best druid set mocks for the Kul Tirans is of course the Throne of Thunder set. This set fits them perfectly and is a direct throwback to their Drust heritage and their homeland. If you're looking for the most suitable Drust death team set for your big belly boy, look no further, as you found it right here. Another druid set that fits their hulking physique well is the bear set from Antaurus. This set has the tendency to not fit smaller races very well, especially on the alliance that lacks big races. But now with the Kul Tirans in their ranks, it's the perfect time to whip out this shaggy skin and immerse yourself in the ways of a druid of the claw. And for number 3 on this list, we have this set, the Chubby Dragonfly. Nah, just kidding. For number 3, we have this PvP Season 15 set. With or without the helmet, the bone motifs just scream out their Drust heritage, and the blue colorations fit in extremely well with the motifs of death magic. If you're looking to really immerse yourself in the roleplay of a Drust Kul Tiran death magic druid, this is the set for you. Lastly, there is this set, the one from HELLFIRE Citadel, yet another set that demonstrates their Drust heritage very well. Creepy branches, skulls and bones, claws and symbols of death. Perfect. Not only that, but if you want a bare-chested semi-topless Kul Tiran in order to show off his physique, here you go. Next up, let's head over to the Shaman. To my surprise, Kul Tiran Shamans look pretty darn good. Really good. Take a look at this set from Dragon Soul. It looks downright awesome. This right here is a Kul Tiran of Dross heritage that has completely embraced the culture of death and woven it into his shamanistic practices. If there was ever a set you wanted to get on your Kul Tiran Shaman, this is definitely one of the best ones. Another incredible set would be this mythic one from BLACKROCK Foundry. He looks almost like Odin, like a god from Valhalla that is descended upon us mortals. Almost akin to the traditional Nordic version of Thor himself. A commanding presence from every angle, and definitely a set you want to get if you're rolling a Kul Tiran Shami. And speaking of Norse gods, here's one that resembles one of a Greek god, Zeus himself. When combined with a white beard and hair, this set from BLACKWING LAIR, nearly 14 years ago, just looks phenomenal despite its age. Be prepared for a new shaman on the block, as Orcs and Tauren no longer hold dominion over which race has the best shaman mogs. And finally, the mythic set from Antaurus looks exceptional on their large bodies, but more significantly, it allows one to immerse oneself in some interesting backstory of how you acquired it. A Kul Tiran wearing traditional troll armor. Perhaps you could have obtained it during the Battle of Dazar'alor itself, raided from the corpses of your fallen enemies. Excellent. Let's take a look at another leather class, the Monk. Some of the Monk sets actually turned out pretty well for the Kul Tiran. Perhaps it's because we're used to panda monks, who are also distinguished by their big bellies. Check out this set from the Heart of Fear. Big beard that makes you look wise? Check. Big belly that makes you look like you got all your powers from drinking beer? Check. And a ginormous belt to hide that big belly when it gets too hard to suck it in? Check. This guy looks like he's ready to go all sumo wrestler on you. And that's a compliment, those guys are no joke. I was also able to make a mix and match set for the Monk, a look inspired from all the numerous farmer mogs that we often see on panda players. The chest piece, the grizzly jerkin, looks great on the Kul Tiran, showing off those giant biceps and big hairy belly. A bit of a redneck feel to it, except in this case, a really big redneck. Lastly, I just wanted to put in a funny one. Presenting to you, the Sushi Chef. If you ever thought the Legion or the Hall set looked comical before, well, now it gets even better on a Kul Tiran. Ever wanted to be a sushi chef for a group of Kul Tiran pirates, sailing the southern seas for buried treasure? Well, here you go, the perfect outfit for your culinary freebooting adventures. Okay, now on to the last leather class, the Rogue. Now I know lots of you guys are thinking of changing over or making a new Kul Tiran Rogue, and what better race to live the fantasy of being a pirate? Arrgh. Okay, never mind. Some of the Kul Tiran Rogue sets are super funny though, super funny. I was literally LOLing as I was looking through them. The image of the big belly just clashes so hard with the fantasy of a stealthy rogue. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Feast your eyes on this, the Season 1 PvP set. This guy looks like some sort of retired superhero who went all dad bod after his younger days. Like the dad in the Incredibles movie. Doesn't it just look like him? It's like some sort of really comical 80s action figure, like when Batman used to fight sharks with the shark repellent. Another one would be this set from the Firelands. I don't even know what kind of rogue this is anymore. It looks more like a wizard to me than any leather class. It looks like some sort of Halloween costume that his kids forced him to wear. Or that really grumpy teacher that you always had who was forced to wear a costume for a costume party. Either way, I am definitely looking forward to all the funny mocks that people are gonna come up with for their Kul Tiran rogues. One of the really good ones though would be of course the one from Antaurus. This one looks really good on a Kul Tiran rogue, and it embodies everything you would expect in terms of a pirate set. This doesn't just look like a regular pirate though, more of someone of perhaps first mate status, or perhaps even the captain himself. It seems like more and more sets from Legion are really suitable for these new allied races, so here's hoping that Blizzard changes the loot from personal to group sooner than later. In line with the humorous mocks of the rogue come some absolutely ridiculous looking mocks for the mage. And when I say ridiculous, I mean truly ridiculous. Check this setup from Blackwing there. This guy literally looks like he ate way too many mana biscuits. The skin tight robe does his belly a big disservice, and his abnormally large frame just doesn't fit into any archetype of a ranged caster, especially even more so when standing side by side with the other Alliance racers. Probably a set you want to avoid, unless of course you want to look like you're part of a circus troupe. This other set, the quintessential Kirin Tor NPC guard armor, also just looks really off on a Kul Tiran. Of course, feel free to disagree with me here, but this guy looks like he was forced into the armor, squeezing himself inside and causing it to bloat out, literally bursting at the seams. But there are some really good mage sets that fit the Kul Tiran, much to my surprise. Take a look at this set from the Heart of Fear. This set looks really good. In whichever one of the colors, they all look amazing. The giant scroll designs of the pauldrons really stand out on the broad shoulders of the Kul Tiran, and the glowing Kirin Tor eye on his forehead is a subtle but yet very nice touch to the overall look. His belly doesn't look too pronounced in this set, and overall, it gives off the impression that he could be a very senior mage, perhaps even an archmage, or an advisor to the king himself. And here's another one, the one from the Throne of Thunder. If you caught my Zandalari video, you'll notice I mentioned this set for them too. The spiked demons on the shoulders really stand out on a Kul Tiran, and the flowy blue light that streams out of the orbs on the LFR set could very easily be a reference to him being some sort of Tide mage or possessing of tidal magic. With or without the helmet, it is truly a set to immerse yourself in being a Kul Tiran Frost mage. Alright, now on to the priest sets. Most of the priest sets look amazing, like an old school pope or cardinal in their traditional robes. Check out this old but gold set from Molten Core, the original tier 1 priest set. With their large frames and big beards, it is easy to perceive this guy as one of the high-ranking bishops of a church. That beard just adds such an air of authority, and that big belly just emphasizes his seniority in the hierarchy. A simple set, but a real nice one. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a set that isn't simple at all, but overflowing with glitz and pomp. The mythic set from Antaurus, a splendid show of ceremony that denotes nothing other than the highest caste of priests. One look at him, and you'll know that he isn't someone to mess around with. Probably one of the highest, if not the highest ranking member of the Church of the Holy Light. In fact, he could even be taken for a human king that has dressed up for a special occasion in the presence of God, or when in Azeroth, before the presence of the light. A definite must-have set for any Kul Tiran priest. Last but not least, we have a set from the Heart of Fear. Now this guy looks like a real bishop. Place him within the context of the Catholic Church that we know of today, and he'll fit right in. Big beards, big bellies, and big cardinal hats like that just seem to fit together so well. If you're looking for a Kul Tiran priest with a commanding presence and an air of authority, you'll find them right here with the Heart of Fear set. And lastly, we come to the Kul Tiran Hunter. Hunters have some kick-ass sets. Just check out this set from the Heart of Fear, the Yengo Slayer Battle Gear. Those horns on the helmet are just massive. I could have easily mistaken this guy for a Vrykul of some sort. The giant ram skull motif on the belt is also stretched out on their belly, causing it to look even more imposing than it normally does on other races. And of course, not to mention that the skull and horns on the left pauldron is even bigger than usual due to the large frames. If you're looking for some sort of Norse Viking Kul Tiran hunter, this would be the set to go for. Another excellent set would be the mythic set from Tomb of SARGERAS. Look at this absolute unit. He almost looks like an ogre, ready to stomp and trample upon anyone, wearing the bones and body parts of those unfortunate enough to be in his path. A survival hunter like this, wielding a meat cleaver like this, oof, you do not want to be in his way. Lastly, an all but gold set that you may want to try out would be the original Tier 1 set, the Giant Stalker's armor from Molten Core. This armor normally looks a bit odd on the smaller races, and usually only fits Tauren and Orcs, but on a Kul Tiran, my does it look pretty dang good. It's almost as if he were a more primitive hunter of sorts, wrapping simple metal sheets and chains around himself to form his own armor. Almost like a steampunk version of sorts, and it seems to work pretty well with a correspondingly simple blunderbuss. And that's that for some of the transmog options that I was able to explore. But let's not forget, the Kul Tirans are coming in with some very fun racials. The first significant racial of the Kul Tirans would be Brush It Off. This racial adds a flat 1% versatility, and when you take damage, you heal for 2% of that amount over 4 seconds. This racial was flat out built for tanks, and sounds pretty dang good to be honest. While the heal may be small and only provides a very minor benefit, let's not forget that it can add up to quite a bit over the course of an entire raid boss or Mythic Plus dungeon. This benefit is increased even more for Brewmaster monks, as its heal over time works hand in hand with their stagger mechanic. In terms of PvP, it has some limited use against dot classes or rot comps, and the extra 1% versatility is a great addition. But by and large, PvP will be all about mitigating burst damage. So should you raise change for Brush It Off? I would say it should definitely be a significant consideration if you main a tank, and especially more so if you're a Brewmaster. No other alliance ratio can match up to this from a tanking perspective. Now what about their second significant ratio, Haymaker? Haymaker is an ability with a 1 second cast time, unleashing a 3 second stun and knockback on a single target. It sounds flat out awesome, however, in practice, it has some limitations. For one, there will be no knockback in PvP. I repeat, the knockback does not work in PvP. So no, Kul Tiran rogues cannot stealth knock you off a cliff. The 1 second cast time also limits its use, as all you need to do is move out of the range and the ability will fail. A root or incapacitate will most likely have to be used first in order to set up this ratio, which makes it slightly clunky but still pretty viable as a stun, especially for range specs like mages or healers that do not possess a stun. On the flip side of PvE, I can't really think of any endgame, Mythic Plus or raid situations whereby this ability could see use. It would definitely be a fun ability to use in the open world, but by and large, a knockback that only hits one target is very limited in its practicality. So should you raise change for the Haymaker ratio? My opinion is no. It is a strong ability when it connects, but getting it to connect will be the difficult part. And that's a wrap, the transmog options and ratio considerations of the Kul Tirans. I hope it was able to help you out in your decision of whether you want to raise change or not, or perhaps even roll a brand new Kul Tiran from scratch. If you've watched up to this point, thank you so much for watching all the way through. I hope you have a blast playing your new Kul Tiran, and as always, I'll see you in Azeroth.